All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pedigree a pro wrestling podcast. I'm your host Ray, and I am joined with my co-host Jimmy, aka Old School Flips. Guys, we're super excited today. This is episode 1 of Pedigree, a pro wrestling podcast, and I'm excited because as someone that is a very, very big fan professional wrestling, I have always wanted to have a wrestling podcast or just have somewhere where we can talk wrestling. And I figured out somehow that Jimmy also enjoys professional wrestling, and I said, you know what, Jimmy, let's get our pro wrestling minds together and talk about grown men wrestling in their underwear. Jimmy,
I'm all about it. Like right now, I feel like I should have my arms out with a bottle of water, just like spraying
there
water
you go
up into the
there
air, old OG Triple H style with that intro music and everything.
Yeah,
I'm all hyped right now.
I know, right? I was looking for the perfect copyright free intro music, and I think that we found it. But guys, for the people that are listening the first time, and I know this kind of is like a reselling channel where the podcast is going to be posted on. Maybe down the road we'll have a dedicated channel for this podcast, depending on how it goes. But my name is Ray. I do have a reselling channel called the Nashville Flippers, and my co-host Jimmy, take it away.
I am Jimmy. My channel on YouTube is Old School Flips. That's another reselling yard sale picking channel. But yeah, like you said, I'm looking forward to when we're super famous and we have our own wrestling podcast channel.
Yeah, I think we'll get there, Jimmy. We'll discuss that later down the road. But Jimmy was on another podcast, and he was talking about wrestling, and I was like, well, maybe Jimmy would want to start a wrestling podcast with me. So I put it down in the comments, and he was like, let's do it. So we got both of our minds together, and here we are, episode 1, Jimmy. And I don't know where this is going to go. Maybe we'll do 10 episodes, or maybe we'll do 10,000 episodes. We don't know. But just to what to expect for these episodes, we're just going to talk about different wrestling subjects, maybe talk about the wrestling news, and just kind of sum up everything that's going around in the world of wrestling. So, but before we get started on some of our subjects, let's talk about our wrestling background, Jimmy. Like, how do we become so much big wrestling fans? Look at that hat.
I need to take that hat off. All right. How did I become I've been watching wrestling since the 80s though. Like I don't know, how old are you? How old are you, Ray?
I always forget. Do you ever do that? Like, how old am I? I think I'm 37, which makes sense. So just a little glimpse of my wrestling history, not to cut you off, Jimmy, but as a millennial, I did not watch wrestling too much in the 80s. Mm-hmm. My first experience with wrestling, just like any other millennial, is that prime middle school age of the Stone Cold, the Rock, the Triple H's, the DXs, going down the middle school halls of Hawkins Middle School and just DX chopping everybody that you see. That was my introduction to wrestling. Kane, The Undertaker, Trish Stratus became a very influential figure in my young male development.
Who was the girl wrestler that always wore the thong out the back? Was it?
I mean, they all did. Oh, the whale tail. You're talking about Lita?
Yeah, Lita.
Yeah, man.
I remember Lita too. Now I'm gonna take us way back though. Like a child of the 80s. Like I grew up in the 80s. I was born in late 70s. I grew up with when they had the cartoon. Like they had the wrestling cartoon.
Oh.
I don't even remember the name of it, but it was like a Saturday morning cartoon. Had Hulk Hogan, had Captain Lou Albano and Roddy Piper were all in the cartoon, and that's what first got me into wrestling, was that cartoon. And like, this is a funny thing that I like to talk about that we went through. We were like in the hardcore. You have to be a hardcore wrestling fan of like in the 80s, because like the regular show in the 80s was like Hulk Hogan versus some no name, right? Like every week, all the big stars like Brutus the Barber Beefcake and all the big names, Ted DiBiase, they wrestle against no names. Like these guys,
jobbers,
Iron Mike Sharp and stuff like that. And so you knew who was going to win. Like they never lost. The only time they wrestled each other was in the big WrestleMania event throughout the week. So it was hard to watch back then. But as a kid, that's when I remember liking Coco Beware. You ever heard of Coco Beware?
I got to meet Coco Beware at an autograph signing. Gosh, it was probably like 4 months ago. There was a card. We have a Music City card and collectibles show here in Nashville, and I got to meet all the cast of the Sandlot and got a Funko Pop signed by the whole cast. But there was I got to meet Kane and Ric Flair. Anytime I see Ric Flair in anything, I always like to meet him and get an autograph. But Coco Beware was there, and it's so sad because like those mid-level guys that they're not the Hulk Hogans, they're not the Steve Austins.
Yep.
Like nobody was at his booth.
Oh man.
So it's like I'm like, hey man, I was like, nice to meet you, bro. And he was like, do you want an autograph? I'm like, no, I'm okay, because I didn't want to like spend money for an autograph. But like Jimmy Hart was there, and just like oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Did Coco have the bird?
He did not have the bird. He did not have the bird.
Yeah, he used to have a bird back in the day.
What was the tag team, fellas?
Oh, the Bushwhackers.
One of the Bushwhackers was there, and there was nobody there at his table.
That was the old school DX move right there.
Yeah, going down the halls doing this. But yeah, man. But I digress, Jimmy. Coco Beware. I got to at least say hi to him and give him a handshake awesome. Or whatever.
He was one of my favorites as a kid. Like I didn't always go for the main guys. I think out of the main, but even then I like Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Like Coco Beware and Brutus the Barber Beefcake were two of my favorite wrestlers as a kid. So I wasn't like a big Hulk Hogan fan or Andre the Giant. I mean, I liked them, but they weren't my favorites. Then, I probably took a little bit of a break from wrestling in my teen years, but I was there watching in the 90s for sure, though, when they had the Monday Night Wars and stuff, and the WCW when, the Wolf Pack and the NWO was around. So, I mean, I've been off and on watching it all my life, basically all my life.
But you recently got back into wrestling.
Yeah, I took a break mainly because I didn't have like a way to watch it. I didn't have a lot of TV options to watch it. I was taking a break from cable and stuff, and I didn't have the streaming services and stuff. Mm-hmm. Or I guess according to you, I didn't even have a digital antenna to watch it. So
yeah, because I told Jimmy you can watch regular TV just on like a digital and get a digital antenna.
Yeah. But I'm watching it regularly now. I'm pretty caught up on everything that's going on, at least in WWE. A little bit of AEW stuff, but I think we're going to talk about that. That's a tough watch for me.
That's a tough watch, so we'll get into that for sure. But just to piggyback on what Jimmy was saying, I too, once you start growing up and get into your high school years, you just kind of grow out of wrestling. But then I really got back into wrestling hardcore probably around 2010. Okay. And man, I've jumped in like all the way. I remember in those times, like waking up probably like 5 or 6 in the morning when like New Japan has like the Wrestle Kingdom, their WrestleMania to catch it. I mean, I felt like hardcore going back and watching, like old, Mid-Atlantic wrestling and NWA wrestling and watching all the Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes matches and all that stuff. Like I went way, way back and watched everything that I knew that I missed and just being so, enamored in wrestling and going to all the wrestling shows. And we used to have here in Tennessee, there was a place called Millersville, Tennessee. And they used to have a weekly televised wrestling show, Jimmy. And it was a NWA affiliate. And it was just the same people every night. And it would come on like local, broadcast television. And I would go every Friday night. And I would have a blast because these are people that are working hard. They're trying to make a
Man.
buck. They're trying to make it to the next level. Some of them will never make it to the next level.
Yep.
And they're just in there entertaining the same people each and every Friday. And it was awesome until the promoter that was there promoting the show ended up passing away as of a heart attack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so the next week they had like a tribute show for him, and dude, I have never seen the place so busy. They were like hanging from the rafters. The fire marshal got called.
Wow.
And we had to get people out. And that night, like both of his kids wrestled, and they won like the tag team championships that night. So that's a moment that I will never forget, and
that's just
it was great.
I find it fascinating, like because I'm not gonna lie, I've never been big into some of the smaller time and some of the more localized stuff, but I've always been fascinated by it. And I've always been fascinated, like you said, not a lot of money being made there.
No,
but they will put it all out there on the line. Like they will go,
everything
they will put on every bit of good a show as you will see on TV on a Monday night. Like they will put it all out there.
Yeah,
and that's it's fascinating that people they love it that much. They love what they do that much that they don't care that they're not making top dollar to do it.
Exactly.
Now there's always that chase that they're after to make it to the big time.
For sure.
But there's still the love is what really drives them.
Yeah, they had one big show where the NWA champ at the time was a guy from Japan that he had the belt. And that's before like Billy Corgan bought out the NWA. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, Jimmy. But the NWA was like at this weird, it was past its prime, and the NWA was just kind of like a local thing, but the belt was still kind of like a prestigious belt. You know, you have people like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, they used to be NWA champs, and it was in a weird stage, and I can't remember, but Billy Corgan, the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. I was going to say
Smashing Pumpkins, okay.
Yeah, which is a huge wrestling fan. Used to be a writer for TNA or Impact Wrestling, okay, and then he got into dispute with Dixie Carter, which is the owner of Impact at the time, and he went out and purchased the NWA, and it has brought it up back to where it needs to be, and to a point to where like when Cody Rhodes left WWE, he helped bring the title back where it needs to be alongside Nick Aldis, which is now in the WWE, and he still owns NWA, I believe, and he's still making, shows and stuff like that. And so, like LA Knight came from NWA.
Really? See, I guess I'm just recently back. I know about LA Knight. I didn't realize he's from NWA. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I believe, so going back, I'm deep into wrestling. The only thing people always ask me, Ray, what shows are you watching? What movies are you watching? If I don't go to the movie theater and watch a movie, the only thing that I watch on television is wrestling.
Wow.
Like my wife, she knew like going in, like when she married me, like she knew about wrestling. Like she knew it's like, man, I'm getting into this. And she knows she's been to SummerSlams and WrestleManias and Monday Night Raws with me, and she's learned to appreciate the, what would you say, the sport and the athleticism,
the entertainment
and the
value of it. Like it has a lot of entertainment value. Like it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's enjoyable. Yeah. The storylines nowadays are really they're well
I believe so. I think right now, Jimmy, especially with WWE, we're seeing like a renaissance and a resurgence in pro wrestling. Yes. And WWE is hitting on all the right marks, in my opinion. Yep. And the funny thing about AEW and WWE is the people left WWE because it was one guy was calling all the shots, and how like the roles have been reversed to where now AEW is the one guy that's calling all the shots and making all the creative.
That's wild. Yeah.
And then now WWE is this large entity now, where it's owned by TKO Holdings, which is UFC and WWE, and you have other people, calling the shots and having creative control with Triple H at the helm. And I believe that wrestling is better than ever, and I tell everybody, when they find out that I'm a pro wrestling fan fanatic, they're like, "Why are you watch that? Don't you know that it's fake?" And I'm like, "Just give me like, come over and watch the Royal Rumble with me, and you're gonna leave a wrestling fan."
Yeah,
There's something for everybody.
I mean, you combine the action with you're starting to see some pretty good, mic skills, acting skills, mic skills as well. You're starting to see a lot better mic skills, people that know what to say when they're holding the mic. They don't. It's just everything about it is getting better. Like everything is improving. You can tell the influence of like a Triple H and even Shawn Michaels. Those guys were always had really good mic skills, and you can see their influence on that. And it's just across the board is improving. You know, one thing though, I think that's kind of interesting about what you said, that it's like better than it's ever been, or it's as good as it's ever been. Well, let me ask you this, if you don't mind.
All
like,
right.
I don't think they're like throughout the history, there's always been that one mega star.
Oh, that's Roman Reigns all day.
I don't.
You don't think that he's that big of a star as a Rock or Cena? Even?
I think he's a product of the success that WWE is seeing right now. But I would never put him up there in the tier with a Stone Cold or a Rock or Hulk Hogan. Even like, I don't feel like he's as entertaining as them. Entertaining is the only word I'll use. I'll never question his wrestling. I just don't think he's as entertaining as them.
I'll probably agree with you on that. The good thing about the people that you named, The Rock, Stone Cold, they were good on the mic. Yep. And if you go back and watch their in-ring work, it's not that good. But the storytelling in the ring, I mean, you might see maybe 4 legit wrestling moves with their finishers, but like, not like, it doesn't like, you go back and you watch the Attitude Era, and the in-ring work really isn't that great.
You're right. No, I
compared to what it is now. And I know that we see the Attitude Era through like rose-colored glasses, but for your point, Jimmy, I do agree that Roman Reigns may not be as entertaining as those people, and they just have to hit. That's the problem with wrestling, though. You have to hit all these marks to be like a huge superstar. Like, you have to have the mic skills, you have the in-ring work, and you have to be likable, and you have to have the look. And I think people like Roman Reigns, if he, like, let's say Seth Rollins. Yeah. Seth Rollins is the macho man of our time.
Yes.
He's not Hulk Hogan.
He has the crowd too, and that's what I love, the way he has the crowd. Oh, I don't know. I think. Go ahead.
Do you think that anybody here currently in the main roster can be put up to the potential of a Stone Cold, a Rock? If Cody Rhodes can get pushed to a point to where maybe Cody, because he's a babyface, or to build that person up, you have to have, it's the yin and the yang too, Jimmy. You have to have
I agree. And
you have to have the good guy to the bad guy.
Sometimes they're just a victim of the character that they've already started to develop. That's just doesn't work for them. I have a couple names that just popped into my head.
What you got?
I'll probably start. This guy, I think, is a victim of just the character. I'm not a fan. Drew McIntyre.
Man, I love Drew McIntyre. Especially if you see him in person, man, that guy has the look.
And he can talk. He's got the mic skills. I'm not a fan. I mean, I know it's his, his nationality, but I'm just not a big fan of the character that he's. They're giving him a push right now, and I like it so far, but I'm not the biggest fan of his character.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. I lost the second, but my number one is going to be a total surprise to you. Oh, the other one is LA Knight, but LA Knight's
old.
He's
older than
kind of the copycat thing that he got.
Yeah.
Tagged with, which worked for me, but for some people it didn't work. But this
because
one's
he's bringing it's like a mesh. LA Knight's character is a mesh of Stone Cold and The Rock like put together, like the way that he does promos and stuff like that. Which it's not a terrible thing, but
what sucks is he's backing off of it now. Like he's backing off of it. I've noticed like he's not going full character anymore, and I want it back. Like I want that character, whatever that was, that hybrid. Like you said, I want it back. Like I want that guy back. And you can tell he's backing away from his son. But here's my number one, and I think it's surprising, but I think it could be our next China, the character China from the DX.
Oh, you're saying Rhea Ripley?
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley is a superstar. She's
a superstar waiting to happen.
She's
like, but I think she's a megastar waiting to happen once they.
If she's already is,
yeah,
I would say she's easily top 5 biggest superstars in the company.
I think she could be the face of the company. Though.
You know what the thing? You know what? And I know WWE just signed her from AEW, but Jade Cargill. Are you familiar with Jade?
Yeah, yep.
She's gonna be a superstar,
right? Yeah,
and just seeing the matches with like her and Rhea, her and Becky, her and Charlotte.
Yep,
it's gonna be great. But
and I've never been the biggest fan of the women's storyline. I don't have I enjoy watching the women wrestling it, but I don't think they've ever got a storyline really well done with them. I think Rhea Ripley, though, they're on to something with her, like her kind of being that hidden leader of the group, and then I don't know.
The
Judgment Day, like I think they're working her the right way, and I think she's going to be a megastar. So, anyways, that's why I think it's interesting that you said that it's as good as it's ever been. But man, I don't think it has that. Like, I don't know. Like I call it the face, the megastar, and I just don't feel like they have that right now.
Yeah. And, down the pipeline, there's plenty of people. You mentioned Shawn Michaels earlier. Shawn Michaels is heading up NXT, and there are some great athletes and wrestlers in NXT. And Jimmy, that, now they're recruiting people straight out of college that have, they call it like the NIL. They're like already picking people from college that are collegiate athletes, volleyball players, basketball players, football players, wrestlers that just come in straight into the program and learn how to wrestle. And they have the look of a pro wrestler, good looking, physique, and all they have to do is teach them how to talk, and which is probably the hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
and there's
we know that. We're doing a podcast. We know that.
But hey, could you imagine being in front of thousands of people and just hitting all these?
Can I imagine being in front of thousands of people in my underwear,
cutting a promo?
No, I could not.
It's crazy.
I could not. And I don't think many people could imagine me doing thousands of people could imagine me doing that.
Jimmy, we were talking a little bit about wrestling gear earlier. If Jimmy Old School Flips, which we'll give the moniker to Jimmy Old School Flips, he's doing a swanton dive off the top rope. That's Jimmy's finishing move. What is Jimmy's wrestling attire? What are we doing? We doing trunks? We doing tights? Are we doing a singlet?
We're asking the people. We're not asking me, are we?
Yeah, we'll ask the people. Put it down in the comments. What do you see Jimmy's ring attire being? I'm gonna go with a singlet, Jimmy. I want to see you with the singlet, not necessarily like the bathing suit kind, but just put like a little shorts on there, like a little biker shorts.
I'm going with the Shinsuke knock. I'm going with the Shinsuke with
the pleather, with the deep V and the pleather pants.
The deep V, the super tight like vinyl leather.
It's so weird. It looks terrible.
I don't
need to get a new look.
I don't understand, but I'm going with that because nobody will understand why they put me in that for sure.
Okay, I like it. But put it down in the comments. Let's see what Jimmy's ring attire would be for sure. But yeah. But going back to NXT, there are some great crop of kids that are moving on up that are going to be great. Yeah. One of them is a girl, Tiffany Stratton. I don't know if you've watched her. She was the NXT champion. She's kind of has like this blonde Barbie look. She looks fantastic. She used to be a gymnast, so she can do a lot of. She's great. She's great. She's going to be the next big thing, in my opinion. And then we got Braun Breaker, which is, one of the Steiner kids, and he's going to be a freaking. If
Braun.
they give him the Brock Lesnar push straight up, he's going to be a monster.
So are they gonna put Paul Heyman with him then? Is that what?
I would be great. That would be great.
What I like about this podcast is I'll call myself right now a little more casual of a viewer than you right now. But I'm going to learn a lot from you. And I'm going to learn these names. I'm going to start watching them.
Yes,
I've already been watching. Like I sent you a TikTok. I was watching. Like, did this guy really hurt this guy?
Yeah.
Because I haven't been watching a lot of NXT and a lot of the up and comers, but I always see them. I've been seeing like the Creed. I'm a fan of the Creed.
The Creed brothers, yeah, big NXT guys.
Julius. Is it Julius Creed? Is that one of them?
I can't remember the name of that finishing move that they do, that little cannonball off the top rope into very, very tag team-esque.
I'm interested. What I like about them is I see down the road when eventually they're pulled apart, I see possibly a couple superstars, but at least one. The one kid, I think it's Julius Creed. I'm probably wrong. He's a super athlete. He does the kick ups after he does a suplex.
Yeah.
He'll do like 10 in a row. And I'm like, what is happening here? Yeah. So I'm excited about them. Yeah. So that NXT stuff I love. I love seeing those young guys coming up and performing. And they just on Raw, they just had a title shot out of nowhere. Like,
exactly. They did lose the title shot, but
they put up a great
fight,
man. Those guys put on a show.
It was a great match for sure. But Jimmy, we talked a little bit about Mike's skills, and we talked about creating superstars.
Yep.
Let's talk about someone that left for 10 years and is back. Let's talk about the return of CM Punk.
You're not gonna do the copyright music. He does the
Living
Color song, right?
Living Color, yeah.
CM Punk is. I don't know if I'm a fan, man. I just don't know. Like, there's a lot of noise around him, right? Like, there's a lot of noise about his history and stuff. And I don't follow it all. Like, I don't know but I know there's a lot of noise about what happened when he left 10 years ago and should they have brought him back and stuff like that. And then the way he left AEW, there's a lot of noise about that. By noise, I mean just rumors and swirling and what happened.
A lot of rumors.
Yeah.
What have you heard, Jimmy? From a casual wrestling fan, the rumors from CM Punk leaving AEW.
Like, I heard he just kind of like he was fired, but he was fired, right? For like being like disgruntled, basically, right?
Well, there's this big thing that happened allegedly that he was disgruntled. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega came backstage. They got into an altercation. CM Punk allegedly bit somebody, and it was a big hoopla. But CM Punk has a history of being pissed off and disgruntled. Right. Did you ever hear the interview that CM Punk did with what was his best friend at the time, Colt Cabana, on Colt Cabana's podcast, where he just completely craps all over WWE after he left WWE the first time?
Right. I have not heard it. I have not. So I did want to say, like, when him leaving WWE 10 years ago is kind of when I faded away from wrestling for a while. Like, I was very casually paying attention to it. I didn't watch it regularly. So I'm not aware of that. I haven't heard that interview. I don't know a lot. I don't know about a lot why he left WWE 10 years ago.
There was to say, a lot of health issues and a lot of he was pissed off that he didn't get a match. He never main evented WrestleMania. And so that was a big issue because he had the title for I can't remember how many days, which was, he carried the company for a long time during that span, and he never got a WrestleMania shot. He ends up dropping the title to The Rock when The Rock came back, and then they just kind of threw CM Punk, to whatever. He did end up getting a WrestleMania match with The Undertaker that year, but after that it was just he was trying to he did come up with the idea of putting the Shield together and them being like his bodyguards, but then the storyline kind of pivoted through there. But but I digress. But him being back in WWE, the saying says he said, and I quote, I can't remember where the quote was, but he said that it would be a cold day in hell when he comes back to the WWE.
Now
And
he's
now
wearing a T-shirt.
he wears a T-shirt that says it's a cold day in hell,
Yep.
which is ridiculous, and especially with his he has a huge he at the time hated Triple H 10 years ago, and now they seem to be boys.
Triple H is a big part of him being back, right?
Exactly. So allegedly, also when CM Punk was getting married, that WWE sent him a FedEx of him being fired the day of his wedding.
Wow.
So there was a lot of bad blood. So
I'm not sold with this picture right here of them being best buds.
I know, right? It's interesting, but
it's kind of like it's not a smile. They both have like a CM Punk has a surprised look, and Triple H is kind of like, well, we got this deal done.
We got it done. So what are your thoughts of CM Punk's return? Jimmy, do you think it's good for business, or do you think that is just a way to make money? He did say in his promo on his when he came back on Raw here in Nashville, he said he wasn't here to make friends, he was here to make money.
I thought that was a bad thing for him to say in front of the camera, but whatever. Yeah. But wrestling has evolved into that too, where like it's not all scripted. It's some, they kind of let them say some stuff that may, isn't exactly in the script or whatever. Kind of let them do their thing with on the mic. I don't think it could be a bad thing. Anybody that has that kind of following, anybody that is that good on the mic, can't hurt. I don't think he can hurt. Now, could it be? I say that, and then we go back to the 90s when everybody came over to WCW and just totally destroyed WCW. So I guess there is possibility of bad things happening. The end of WCW was a lot of guys coming over there and almost like, what's the word? Like they went over there just to like take it down. They infiltrated it and took down WCW. But I think this is a different era. I think there's way too many like guards set up for that to ever happen to the WWE. I think he's entertaining. I don't know if I'm a fan of his, but I think he's entertaining. I think he's good on the mic, and I already think the storyline with Seth Rollins has got me intrigued already.
I know, right? They already went because they did have some bad blood even before,
right?
He came back. So they both said some choice words. And that's a good thing about wrestling too, Jimmy, where like real life and story and scriptedness kind of intertwined, because you don't know, is this a work or is it a shoot?
Right.
Which we'll go over some.
Do you think the little feud, like, it feels as real as I've ever seen? Like the Seth Rollins, he looks pissed. Like he looks pissed that he's back.
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting.
A touch of actual angst towards each other. I don't have the right word for that.
Yeah, no, angst is an appropriate word. Now, him coming back, Jimmy, do you see him more as a heel, a bad guy role, or a babyface in a good guy role?
Oh man, I almost want to say, does that even exist anymore? Like, it feels like a heel is a good guy now, but they're not, right? I think eventually he'll lean towards the heel. I think that's just who he is. But here we are. If he's the heel between him and Seth Rollins, I think he's got the better following, right? But that's wrestling today. Like, I think the crowd, he has the crowd a little bit better than Seth Rollins, who usually has the crowd. Mm-hmm. But when those two were in there, I heard a little more CM Punk chants than I did them chanting Seth Rollins' music. So I don't know.
That's tough, right?
He'll go toward. What do you think?
I don't know. Like you were saying, Jimmy, I am a big Seth Rollins. I love everything Seth Rollins is doing.
Yeah.
his character, his in-ring work, and for someone to come along, which is the epitome of what CM Punk hated, was the part-time wrestler to come in and take everything and be given everything.
Yeah.
And he turns into that. What is the quote? You live long, if you're a hero and you live long enough, you become a villain or something like that. Yeah. Like, man, I don't know.
He's always been like he almost like, because he comes off as like a grunge like era kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he's almost like grunge music, where he's kind of in between rock and roll and alternative. Tweener. Like he's not either one, right? So he's kind of in the middle too. Like he's always kind of been that guy, right? Like he's kind of right there. Is he a good guy? Is he a heel? Is he a like, yeah. I mean, he definitely, either whatever he did, it worked.
He can go either way, yeah, for sure. I know that it's going to be hard because I know allegedly his first match back is going to be Dominic Mysterio at Madison Square Garden. So, and Dom's a heel. So he's going to be playing the babyface role, which that would probably go for how long? So are you going to feed him heels? How many heels is there in the company? Not very many. The only big heel is Roman. And is Seth going to play a heel during his... Hopefully they'll get to WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania Night 1 is going to be CM Punk, Seth Rollins. WrestleMania Night 2, main event, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. That's... And I think one of the things that they promised him if he wanted to come back was the WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there was that's the behind the scenes stuff that you almost don't want to know, but you need, it exists, right? Like, there were some things that had to be agreed upon. Like, do you think he wins the Royal Rumble? Like, he's right back.
Exactly. Like, how are we going to get to that point, Jimmy? How are we going to get to that WrestleMania main event? The only thing is to win the Royal Rumble, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, like, did they? But it's just, again, it's a tough one for me because then it all just feels. We know it's scripted, but it just feels too scripted. If he comes,
like, how are we going to get there? Yeah. And here's another monkey wrench in the storyline. Damian Priest still has the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Maybe there's your path. There's your heel. So there's kind of your heel. Oh, I don't know. Does Damian Priest beat Rollins and then Punk beats Priest? Like, there's kind of your path, right?
Yeah.
But it's a tough one.
But, and then you still have CM Punk and Roman Reigns. The wise man, Paul Heyman, CM Punk was the ultimate Paul Heyman guy. That writes itself.
And I got that.
And then Brock Lesnar. What about a 3-way match? Brock Lesnar, Roman, and CM Punk.
Man, is Lesnar even still around though? Like
he'll come around.
Yeah, and he was always a Heyman guy too. So, oh my gosh, you're getting me so confused now.
It's a lot of Heyman men out there.
But that's what's so interesting about, like I said, how Punk is in the kind of a middle grounds guy, because him and Rollins, you could easily see. Obviously, him and Rollins are feuding right now. So, but what if Damian Priest beats Rollins, and then now you can have a Punk and Priest feud? Like, there's just so many things they can do, right? And that's why they have great writers. So then we're not the ones thinking of this stuff.
Yeah, but we could. Did you know that Freddie Prinze Jr. used to be one of the writers in the WWE?
I know.
Yeah.
You would have never guessed that, because he's like a pretty guy, right? Like, he's a pretty actor, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he used to be a writer for the WWE.
I have a funny. Who's that guy? Vince Russo. Remember Vince? Is that his name?
Yeah, Vince Russo.
I've met Vince Russo.
Is he
in Colorado?
Is he crazy?
You know what he is?
What is
he's a picker and a reseller now.
Vince Russo?
I met him in Colorado at thrift stores multiple times, picking. I'm not making that up.
Really?
And remember when I used to do my live show with Frank? Do you remember that back in the
No,
Frank?
I do not.
He met him too. We both met him multiple times at Thrift. I'm not even making that up. I promise. And I know like this is a podcast. Well, Jimmy, you can't just make stuff up on a podcast. I promise you. And we talked to him, and he was at thrift stores picking like we were, and like flip, but he like more local flip type stuff. I'm dead serious.
Interesting.
And like we weren't
Vince
even
Russo.
sure, but he was wearing the jersey. Yes, 100% met him and talked to him at a thrift store. Had the he wore the jerseys. Had the San Francisco Giants jersey on and everything. Yep.
They say that you were talking about people sending people over to WCW for the downfall. They think that Vince
that's why I
sent Russo over
to take it
for the downfall of WCW.
That's a big part of what I thought of and said that. Yep. Yeah, so when you start talking about writers, I was thinking about him and like, man, that you want to talk about a fall from stardom.
I mean, who was the actor that won the not Bill Bellamy. What was the he won the world championship. He was an actor.
Because Vince Russo had a belt.
He had the belt.
Yeah.
And then
we're going way off track, but this is such interesting stuff to me because
but that's he put the belt on the actor, which he had that one wrestling movie coming out, and so they had that WCW. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I don't remember who the actor. So the actor was coming out with a wrestling movie.
Correct.
And he won the WCW belt.
He won the belt. The big gold.
I don't know who. Did he win it?
He was in the movie Scream. He was the cop.
The cop in Scream? I don't.
Do you remember the cop?
Oh yeah. David Arquette.
David Arquette won the belt.
Yeah. That's
so
right.
Vince Russo put up that storyline. He had I can't remember the name of the movie.
I know, and now it's all coming back to you, but I remember, yeah.
But now, do you know that David Arquette still wrestles?
I did not know that. He
came back.
NWA or what?
I don't know where, just in the Indies, but yeah, he won the big gold from, I can't remember the match, but they wrote it into, what's that?
Is that Jeff Jarrett back there?
Jeff Jarrett, yeah, old Jeff Jarrett back there. So he had the belt for a while. That's
wild. Yeah, so that's probably part of taking down WCW.
Correct. Yeah. So
I love that older '90s stuff, man. Like I said,
it's crazy,
and that's so like I said, I watched a lot of that. And when we saw him at that thrift store, I was like, no way. And me and Frank were both just like, no way, is that really him? And he was like, I was like, that's him. We were both like, that's him. I think Frank was the first one that went up and talked to him. It was him. We talked a little wrestling with him.
That's crazy.
Pretty wild. Yep.
But talking about Jimmy, wrestling promotions that could shut down, like WCW. Yeah. Let's talk about AEW. The fall of AEW.
The empty crowd fall. At least when they do fall, they're not going to land on anybody because there's nobody in the crowd.
Nobody in the crowd. The one time, Jimmy, I went to an AEW show, and it was probably their second year in existence. They had a show here in Nashville in the Municipal Auditorium, which is the old arena, not necessarily, the Bridgestone Arena. The Bridgestone Arena is where, the Predators play, and that's where WWE has their shows and all the concerts. The Municipal Auditorium is that's where the Shriners have their circuses and the B name stuff. So that's where they have their shows. And I remember going in and showing my ticket to where my seat is, and they still didn't sell out. And because they wanted it to look full, your seat that you bought that might have been in the 200 levels was in the hundreds, because they wanted everybody to come in together and look.
They're turning all the lights off up there.
Correct. And that was when Cody Rhodes was there, the Young Bucks, they're in the prime. And even then, the show was so hard to watch Jimmy live, and just seeing all the wrestlers, like inexperienced wrestlers,
Yep.
the botches, the lack of storytelling, and the women were just. And I am a huge proponent of women's wrestling, especially in the WWE. Like some of my favorite storylines are the women's wrestling.
Yep.
But to watch the women's wrestling in AEW is just teeth pulling, man. It is so hard to watch. The only person that actually is doing anything right now is Toni Storm. She has this like Marilyn Monroe character vibe going on, which AEW, it's so weird to me that their whole thing was they're gonna focus on more on wrestling and not sports entertainment. But if you watch it now, they're more sports entertainment than they are WWE.
Yeah, I tried, so I'm just back, like I said, and I tried to watch both. I'm currently no longer watching AEW. I watched it for probably a couple months and was just like, I see why it's empty, because it's not very watchable to me. There's a couple good wrestlers in there. There's a couple good, really good entertainers in there that I think they should find their way to some success somehow. You would think the WWE, I don't know. Is this like a thing though? Is there like a thing that where some wrestlers just won't go there, or are they not going there because they have character issues? Like, I don't know how that works. Like MJD, he seems like he might have character issues behind the scenes. Like, but he could be a star. He's WWE.
You talking about MJF?
MJ. I said MJ.
Yeah, no.
MJF.
Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He's a freaking star.
Right.
He is, I think, 24, 25. He is a superstar.
Yeah. So
his contract is expiring, and he has not re-signed with AEW.
I mean, so I see him. He could come to WWE and be a main, a main draw right away. Like I think
so.
He's that good. I think the guns are really good.
Yes, I agree.
But they seem like that's where I think the big problem is. And you talked about, I just don't think they've been coached and been through enough storylines and stuff. And it's very sloppy, the stuff that they're doing. And they need someone to teach them how to work through a storyline better. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think, we have here Ricky Starks and Big Bill, which used to be Big Cass in WWE.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks, I think, is a superstar, which is like, but it's like The Rock light, which he was an AEW guy or a NWA guy with Billy Corgan, which he did good. And Orange Cassidy, that's all gimmick.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't think it would work in the WWE.
So
Adam Page, I think, could work in the WWE.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Adam. Yep.
And I'm looking down at the roster. And of course, you have people like Bryan Danielson, which was there, Buddy Matthews, which was there, Cash Wheeler, and Chris Jericho.
Was there.
Yeah.
Who are the guys that do the Scissor Me guys?
The Scissor Me guys, which I absolutely hate that gimmick.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed, and they come out rapping.
I agree with the gimmick, but I think those guys could be something too.
Okay. And
I'm
looking, I think Taz's kid could probably do something.
Who's that?
Hook.
I don't
Taz,
know. If
Taz, the wrestler.
Oh yeah, Taz. Yep.
So this is his kid, and he goes by Hook.
Okay.
And he kind of has like he's a young guy, looks good. And I think Eddie Kingston can probably do well, but he is a little older.
I'm not a fan.
You don't like Eddie Kingston?
He's like, man, but again, I should be, because he's like a 90s era reject type thing. Like literally he would have worked in WCW during NWO. He would have been a perfect fit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think it's a sloppy, it's like a bunch of kids without a babysitter. Like They're just
Yes.
running around wild, doing whatever they want. Nobody's checking them at all. Like they're playing with the scissors, like you scissor, like they're someone's literally that. Hey, that was a pun that was intended. Like they're literally like little kids running around with scissors in their hands when they just need someone to show them how to use the scissors and how to not hurt themselves and cut. That's a terrible analogy, but that's the one I'm going with.
Are you familiar with Will Ospreay? Will Ospreay, Jimmy?
Osprey. No, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with Osprey backpacks.
So Will Ospreay, he's a like a English wrestler.
Okay.
Very like super athletic. Wrestled in Japan, wrestled a little bit on Impact, and then a little bit on AEW. But his contract is expiring, and I think they're looking to sign him in the WWE, which, if they do, will be a huge get because he would probably be immediate rise to the top.
These are the questions I like to ask you. Like, you have way more knowledge on. So if they sign someone like him, would he automatically go to like SmackDown or Raw? Or do you think he would do a stint in NXT to give that to it'd be giving NXT a little boost too, right?
Correct, and it depends on their in-work ability because sometimes they have something called like the WWE style, because if they're coming from a bunch of independents and especially AEW, right, there's a certain way that WWE wrestles that they need to learn and need to know that they know where all the cameras are, the hard cam, all that, which is like you have to be like ingrained in it, and not to mention,
Sorry, I just had a joke. Like, you're coming from AEW where all the cameras are just on one side so that they can see the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
WWE. No,
it's all different.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But he had a match with Ricochet.
Oh, Ricochet, yeah, man. Oof.
Oh gosh. And it's like, right there. Let's see if this GIF will work here. But can you see this right here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they both kind of landed like Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, man. So he's like a Ricochet kind of fella.
All right.
But bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
Yeah. But I think they need that kind of person. They need more. I think WWE needs more baby faces. They need more faces.
Yeah. I enjoy them. I like right now I'm really enjoying like you said, Seth Rollins and then Dustin. I'm enjoying what they're doing right now. But yeah, I agree. It's cool to be the heel, but this day and age.
Yeah. Like heels being it's easy.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to AEW, what do you think AEW can do to fix their issue?
I don't know. I would have like this radical idea of like, kind of like what I'm going to go way off, but not going to go too far. Like kind of like something like what Star Wars did. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
Like kind of like fandom, like doing some research on your fans that like are super fans that might have good ideas for storylines and stuff they've always wanted to see. Like kind of like people that Star Wars fans wrote books, right? And some of those books turned out to be really good books, and they've made movies, storylines out of them, and like The Mandalorian or whatever. Like using some fandom ideas to come up with storylines, like something, anything's better than what they're doing. So that would just be like this radical idea that I've always kind of had. Like, I know that there are wrestling fans out there that have great ideas, like really, really good ideas. And just kind of like listen to some fans and have like submit your ideas here, whatever. Like, we'll have people read them and come up with, we'll take the best storylines and use them.
The funny thing is that
I know wrestling fans would love that. Like, they'd be submitting like crazy. That'd be the only problem is people.
They do get. I know the companies have to have they do take, I guess, a temperature of what the fans like. Like we're talking right now, and you're like, what's working? What don't we like? What do we like? Right. And I do think that they kind of take a temperature, But for us, to let the fans absolutely write the storylines would be crazy. Would be crazy.
And again, I said it was a radical idea, but I'd love to see it. I almost feel like we could do a show. Like maybe there's something we could hint towards, like coming up with what would be a storyline that we would want to write. Like what is a storyline that Ray would want to write? I've had one
for AEW,
for any wrestling, but yeah, for AEW. So what would be your storyline to fix AEW? And you can even include in that storyline bringing one person over to help it, type thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd rather not do that because we got to fix the issue without bringing anything over.
Yeah. Whoa.
But I mean, right off the bat, I think they got to find. I don't know, man. I think one of the things that they do is they give people too much. Like they give the wrestlers too much leeway to say what they want and kind of like, talk off the cuff and stuff like that. Maybe like bring that back a little bit and just kind of have an overall storyline and just where are we going? Like, let's work backwards here. Who are your biggest stars? Do we want MJF versus Chris Jericho at their, I don't even know what their big pay-per-view is, All In show for the main event? Like, how do we get there? Let's move backwards and build that up until they need to build up their wrestlers. I think that's another thing that they need to do. They need to hire enhancement talent like they did back in the 80s to come in and have those wrestlers just like completely demolish these no names and build them up. And so once the pay-per-view comes along, that it's worth watching.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't, and I feel like it's such a mess. It's going to just take so much work to, I don't even know.
I'm curious
to
know. You
can't just keep introducing people back or new, and things
too much.
That's cute for a minute and then that's it.
Yeah, I agree. And Tony Khan, which is the owner of, he's got too much money. He is literally what we would do if we had billions of dollars, Jimmy.
What's that?
I would start my own wrestling promotion and just have these people are literally my action figures. I want you and you to play, and I want, do this, and that's what he's doing. But he's a billionaire and he can do it with real people and have a real company. And allegedly, Jimmy, that what is it? TNT is going to buy out the contract last time for Raw that's coming up. And so if they do that, they might have like a non-compete, and then AEW would have to move somewhere else.
That's like, so that's what I've always wondered. Like, we know people aren't going to the arenas. I know I'm not watching it. I mean, how many people are actually what? Again, we don't know I don't know. They probably put those numbers out there in the public, but I don't know what kind of views they're getting. What kind of
I'm curious. Maybe we can bring that up next time on next week's show. Yeah, for sure. But we'll talk about that kind of news. What were you saying?
Yeah, I don't even. That makes me wonder if it's even something that can be fixed. Like, is it just too late? And then now you got this. All of a sudden you got a bunch of wrestlers that are free agents. Basically, what happens there, right?
The issue was also, Jimmy, is that weird 2020 period. 2020 was a big, we all suffered from 2020, but these two wrestling promotions were in this weird dilemma to where WWE didn't want anybody to go over, so they signed long-term deals to the wrestlers to not to go over, and then AEW was backing up the Brinks truck for the wrestlers that they wanted because they wanted to have their show. So they have like an inflated roster full of all these people, but no storylines to just kind of like mingle everybody in. So, I mean, I don't know. We can talk about AEW and their storylines. I may have to watch it. I mean, it's Wednesday. It's going on right now. I may watch the replay tomorrow and see what's going on. But I do love Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He
Yeah,
is.
I called him MJD.
Yeah.
Maurice Jones
He's in the. He's in that Iron Claw movie.
Who?
He plays like one of the stunt people.
Iron Claw.
Iron Claw about the Von Erichs.
Oh, the Von Erichs. Yeah, duh. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I may see that this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, that's coming out already.
It's out. It's out.
It's out. Okay. Yeah. I went and saw Willy Wonka instead. That shows.
How was that? How was that?
Everybody says I knew it was going to be a musical. It's a musical. The original was a musical, but I enjoyed it. I liked it.
You liked it?
It's definitely aimed towards the younger audience, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But it's definitely doesn't fit into this conversation of wrestling.
Hey, we're rolling, baby. Well, let's talk about some wrestling news, Jimmy. How about it? Okay.
Okay. All right.
One of the things. Well, we got some big news, and one of my favorite wrestlers just got arrested. I don't know if you heard about this, Jimmy.
I haven't.
Yes, my girl Liv Morgan got arrested in Florida for a possession of marijuana.
Moved to Colorado.
But I think it's legal to have it in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
So she had too much of it then.
I don't know exactly what happened. Probably we need to look into this a little more. But the funny part about this news story, Jimmy, is that the fans, they don't care that she got arrested, and they don't even test for marijuana in the WWE.
Right.
So the internet is up and they're just going crazy of how good looking she looks in her mugshot without any makeup on. That's what the internet really is going nuts over.
Yep. I'm not going to argue with them.
Huh? So Liv Morgan. Jimmy, have you ever gotten caught with a little ganja in your pocket and got in trouble for it?
I have not. No.
A little bit of that devil's lettuce.
A little bit of those gummy bears.
A little of the gummies. She looks like someone that would smoke.
She looks like she might have had a little extra in her.
Yeah. I mean, that can be.
She's got she's got allergies under her eyes going on.
She don't have no makeup on, Jimmy. Give her a break. They just took all of her marijuana. She's stressing.
A little glazed over right there.
She's stressing right now. But and a little more of a serious note, Jimmy. One of the big stars in the WWE is going to be out for at least 6 months. Charlotte Flair.
So I was watching that match.
Yeah, man. The match against Asuka, there was like a weird botch off the top rope, and she ended up hurting her knee, ACL, MCL, and PCL, I believe, Jimmy.
Did she completely tear them?
Yeah.
And she wrestled for another good couple minutes after, she was limping around bad.
Yes.
You knew she hurt herself. And she finished that match. That's wild. She even put she even did the submission move. She locked in the submission move with the bad knee. Yeah, that was
with the bad knee.
Tough, man. The wrestling's fake though, Ray.
Exactly. So, shout out to Charlotte. Speedy recovery. It sucks because I know that she had a pretty big WrestleMania match up ahead, and yeah, it's just a bummer. It's a bummer for sure.
Right.
So that's all the news I got, really, Jimmy, for wrestling news. Anything on your end?
No, I don't follow the news behind like you do, man. But that's why that's part of my enjoyment on this podcast. Is I'm gonna learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
we're gonna have your daily update with Ray or the weekly update with Ray.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. So let's move on a little bit to a little bit of the not preview, the what am I trying to say, Jimmy?
Like a recap?
A little highlights from Monday Night Raw. We got a new member in the Judgment Day, Jimmy. What are your thoughts?
I love our Truth, man. His character is great. I like how he just kind of includes himself and stuff. And I'll take him. I can't even think of the other guy's name. The guy that he's beat.
JD
McDonough. I'll take any day over him. I'll take him. Get rid of JD. Get him out of there.
I know, right?
I don't even know how he like. I have this like in my mind. I had this thought like, how did he talk his way into that group? Like, how did he end up in a group full of like cool, badass
JD,
and then JD. Then there's JD.
Well, he's from, I think he's Irish, so Finn's Irish. Right. I think there's like that connection. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. Chat or put it down in the comments exactly. But R-Truth, man, just think of what we're gonna be seeing. I'm getting the Sami Zayn to the Bloodline vibe.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yep, I love it. I like how, they. I don't know if it's like there's a little bit of breaking character when he's out there joking around.
Yeah,
I love it, and like but then again, I'm torn because, like I said, there are a bunch of cool, bad wrestlers. You got Priest, and you got Rhea Ripley, and you got the son of a legend, and then you got Finn, and then you got kind of a goofball. So
yeah, yeah. So that Dominic and both Rey Mysterio just signed new contracts. I believe 5-year contracts.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, I think Dominic's gonna be Dominic. Do you think that Dominic is the biggest heel in the company right now?
I'd have to think about it. Like, I think he's definitely up there. What I don't like about Dominic right now is the crowd. Not like I want to hear him. I want to hear what he has to say.
When we went to Raw, when he was trying to talk, he had the match with Randy Orton when he came back. Deafening, Jimmy. Deafening. Yeah. You cannot hear anything when he puts that microphone up.
Part of it, and I'm guessing he's not great on the mic, and that's part of why. But man, I want to see if he's like the kid's never going to get good at the mic because he's never going to get a chance.
That's a great point. So Jimmy, what do you think? What do you think is in store for our boy R-Truth?
Man, I think they're gonna turn on him. I don't think I think they're just kind of having fun with him, and it's funny. But I don't think he'll be part of the group. I think they'll turn on him.
You think so?
Yeah. What do you think?
A shame.
You think they're gonna?
I don't know. It would be. I don't know. JD
but
will probably.
That group is on is Rocky right now, anyways. There's a lot of
exactly. So that could be kind of something going on right there. Yeah. So, yeah. But speaking of the Judgment Day, Jimmy, again, they had a match for the tag team titles against, like you were saying that you mentioned before, the Creed brothers. And the Creed brothers. It was a great match. I recommend everybody go back and watching it for sure. So they the Creed brothers ended up losing, but it was a great match nonetheless.
What's Balor's finishing move called again?
The coup de grace.
Didn't he like land the coup de grace on one of them while they were doing a submission hold on somebody or pinning one of them?
I hate that finisher move.
Yeah, and but the way he did it there was actually pretty cool. Like, I think one of the Creed brothers was pinning Priest, and then he did a coup de grace on him while he was pinning him, and it was actually kind of cool then. But
yeah. So that was a good match. Go back and watch that. And then another title match for the women's tag team championships. We have the team of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green with I don't even know the name of these girls.
They're just honest with you. Aren't they both just up? Aren't they from NXT? Like just
they're both just moved up. Yep. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are the new women's WWE tag team champs. What are your did you get to watch that match, Jimmy?
I did watch it. I was kind of surprised that they won because like I said, they're new faces to me. I had never really seen a lot of them. I've seen them a couple times. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. Again, it kind of goes to like I don't really know what's going on with a lot of the women's wrestling storyline right now. Other than I'm enjoying the one with the man and what's her name, the
Ooh, Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
Yes.
That's a good story that's going on right
Yes, I agree.
now. So like I don't know how them winning the titles what they're gonna do with it. They obviously have a plan with it. I just I'm interested to see what the plan is because it's kind of like who are they? It's fun, they're new, but it's not, you know. So I'm kind of mixed on where they're going with it.
Yeah, hopefully the Chelsea and Piper they get a rematch, and I think them two together, like
Odd
Piper
couple.
Niven's like that big girl, and then you have Chelsea,
Yeah,
which is the prototypical like supermodel esque.
yeah.
I think
The
that works well, but I don't know, man. The
yeah, it's almost like the brains and the brawn and a
Yeah,
little beauty mixed in there too. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, yeah. And then you were talking about, let's talk about Becky Lynch and Nia Jax since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
That storyline. The man that made the man.
The man that made the man by busting her nose.
Yeah.
By I
Which was true because at that point, Jimmy, Becky was just floundering.
Right, yeah. You could even tell, like they showed some of the old footage, and you could just tell that her character back then wasn't what it is now by any means.
Exactly.
And then Nia Jax kind of, again, I'm just coming back, but Nia Jax kind of, why was she gone? She was gone for a while, right?
She got fired.
Oh, she got fired. Okay.
She got fired, and then they came back, which, again, I think there's not enough. I don't think there's not enough women heels in the company. So
yeah, you can tell by the outfit and the hair, like she was still just kind of new to everything. Like like you said, she hadn't found. And then all of a sudden,
she
now
didn't
she's
find
the man.
she hasn't found at this point. Wasn't the man. That character did not exist. She was, it's just floundering again, just floundering, not knowing exactly what she's doing, and then boom.
Yeah, she's one of the better female characters by far. She's good. She's pretty good with the mic, and she has some good. She's a good wrestler too.
Yeah.
So it makes it. And I like I like this storyline. I don't know. I'm not a huge Nia. How do you say it?
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. Not a huge fan of hers, but I'm enjoying the storyline.
It should be good. I like where this is going. I wonder how hard or how far they're going to carry the storyline. If this is a storyline that's going to culminate at Royal Rumble, or I know that they have is a limit. I can't tell. I can't. No. Yeah, Royal Rumble's the next one, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And then Elimination Chamber is after that, I believe. So yeah, I wonder. I guess they're just leading up to Royal Rumble. I know they're starting to push the day, that Dave One show, which that it was January 1st on Raw.
Yep.
So that's coming up. So they're already setting up matches for that.
Big matches coming out on that too.
Yeah, which is exciting. One of them being Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, which is gonna be crazy. And then we have our girl, Mommy, Rhea Ripley versus I guess I don't even know her name.
I don't even. What is
Ivy Nile.
Ivy
Nile, which is
she's been hanging out with what's their name?
The Creed Bros. Yeah.
Yeah, the Creed Bros. Yep.
Their little valet or whatever. And I guess the Raw match is going to be Nia versus Becky. So that should be interesting.
Yep.
Maybe it might be like a DQ. And then we have the team of, nobody cares about this match. Natty versus Shayna Baszler versus Zoe Stark and Nixon Wells, which again, nobody cares.
I don't think anybody cares. You're right.
No, I don't think anybody cares for that either.
Valhalla or what? Yeah.
Nobody cares for that. Jimmy, did you watch SmackDown last week?
Oh, I did. I what happened on? Oh, yeah, I watched it with
AJ Styles came back.
Yeah, yep.
And the dude is jacked.
Yep.
A little
now,
HGH.
I don't know a lot about AJ Styles.
Dude, AJ Styles is the man.
Give me a little breakdown on him, because he's just now coming back, and I know the name. I haven't seen him wrestle a lot. What's his history like? Where did he come from and stuff?
You want the
I know I'm on a wrestling podcast and I should know this, but can you give me a little history on AJ Styles?
Oh man, get ready. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen.
Real quick.
This is story time with Ray. So AJ Styles, one of the best wrestlers on the planet, period. AJ Styles got his start on TNA, Jimmy.
TNA, all right.
TNA, which, he was right in the prime TNA homegrown wrestler. Prime time, he was there when Sting was there. He was there when Kurt Angle was there, Samoa Joe. Great matches, was to the TNA champ, X Division champion, all that good stuff. The man is an amazing wrestler. Little short. His build at the time wasn't great, but great storylines with AJ Styles. AJ Styles leaves TNA and goes over to Japan and wrestles with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which became a member of the Bullet Club. Are you familiar with the Bullet Club?
I am not. See,
the Bullet Club.
To me, Ray.
The Bullet Club is the DX2. The Bullet Club, the Too Sweet, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He, Finn Balor, which is Prince Devitt at the time in Japan, he created the Bullet Club. Later leaves to go to the WWE, and the leader of the Bullet Club becomes AJ Styles.
Okay.
AJ Styles.
And this was all in Japan?
All in Japan.
Okay.
AJ Styles, brings the Bullet Club to the biggest heights. It was literally at the point was all American wrestlers, and then became some Japanese wrestlers.
Is that Matt Hardy right there?
No, that's one of the
Matt Hardy.
The Young Bucks.
Okay.
So Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, they were basically like DX, just going rampant through the Japan. At the time, they had all the titles. I mean, they were awesome. I mean, they were DX and in Japan.
Right.
And then AJ Styles ends up leaving and shows up at the Royal Rumble. I can't remember the year, in the WWE. And the man is a workhorse. He is an amazing wrestler. Was one of the first one of 5 Americans to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It's just awesome. AJ Styles is the man.
I'm confused with his return. Who is he actually look like he's going to have a beef with right off the bat? Because he helped, but then he turned. Correct.
I think he's going heel.
Okay.
Again, I think they're lacking heels, and one of the things he probably wants to be a heel. He was a heel in New Japan. If we can get that character back that he played at New Japan,
yeah,
that would be great. I think he might feud with LA Knight, which would be amazing. I cannot wait for that program. One of the big matches he had in New Japan was with Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
So, oh man, Jimmy, if
so
I could show you.
He has a history with Finn Balor, though.
Yes, Finn Balor used to be the leader of the Bullet Club.
You think that they'll use that for a storyline?
It could. Could be. Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
There they are, right there. Yeah.
You know how Finn Balor paints his face, like when he becomes like the what do they
Oh yeah,
call it? He used to do that in
the
Japan.
demon, right, or something.
Yeah, yeah. He used to do that in Japan, but he would do
Yeah,
like licensed characters. Like he was like the Joker and like Venom, like recognizable characters. But now he can't really do that because he's in the
right.
WWE and he might get sued.
Reminds me of who's the kid over in AEW that paints his face?
Oh, Darby Allin. Yeah,
Yeah, Darby Allin. Oh, look,
but
that Punisher one. That's cool.
yeah, Finn Balor's a lot cooler though. So him being in the Judgment Day, he knows how to like be in a group
Yeah.
and make it work.
Now that's a topic for a future episode and how
The Bullet Club.
No, just groups in general, man. Like how
We can do a top 5 list of your favorite
groups.
wrestling stables.
I think we should. And how it's grown into it's the thing now. Like there's groups everywhere now, and it hasn't always been that way. I mean, it's been that way.
One of the things that Vince McMahon did not like was groups.
Yeah.
So he didn't like. So now that he's gone, you see. I mean, you have the Judgment Day. You have the Alpha Academy. You have the Bloodline. You have
they're everywhere. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, like there's groups. There's the female one with Bailey. What's that one?
Oh, Damage Control.
Damage Control. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of groups, and I enjoy them, but
I like them too.
Yeah.
I think if you're a heel,
it can be overdone.
If you're a heel, I think you need to be in a group because then you can have the little, chicken crap heel wins and people, helping you win and all that stuff. Like you need that. Like you need that for a baby face to lose to a heel. You have to have the heel, in my opinion, cheat or have somebody help you or whatever. So when it comes to like the big payoff to where it's like, okay, the group can't be in here now, and you have the baby face win clean.
No, and you make it that brings to like there aren't a lot of like the good guy groups. Like, is there even anything like that right now?
I mean, like you would say maybe like the Alpha Academy, but they're more Alpha like Academy, a comedic group.
Not to be taken very seriously.
The New Day. Just like a little comedic group, but for like a good guy group, it is very rare because you need that. Yeah. You need the cheat. Like if I was always booking Jimmy, the move is to put the belt on a bad guy because you want to see the good guy like ascend that mountaintop, that hill, that ladder,
right,
and finally pay off at the main, the WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble. That's when you were like, yes, finally, Cody Rhodes beats Roman.
Right. Yeah, I thought LA Knight was going to do it. I thought because he just had the match, right?
Yeah.
And he lost. And I thought he was the guy, but like he had even said it happened so quickly that maybe it was just a little too quick. But it is, from a behind the scenes storyline standpoint, it is pretty amazing how quick that storyline just ends. Like he climbed, he got all the way up there, he got the match, and then now he's just back on SmackDown doing his thing. Feuding or teaming up a little bit with another guy that just came back, by the way, Randy Orton.
Oh,
helping him out a little, man.
Randy Orton looks amazing,
dude. That dude is. I was even telling Sonia, who watches with me, not on purpose. She's just sitting there when I'm watching it. And I was like, this guy has bulked up big time compared to how he was before. Yeah. That has something to do with the injuries, though. Now, there's one of my favorite wrestlers. He's one of my favorite wrestlers,
Randy.
Part of it, one of my youngest son, he was when he watched wrestling when he was little. He loved Randy Orton. But he called him Randy Norton.
Randy Norton.
Randy Norton.
I don't think Randy Orton gets as much respect as he deserves. He is probably one of the oldest wrestlers in the current locker room.
Yep.
And he's not going anywhere. He's not going to go to Hollywood. He's not looking to make a movie or do this or using wrestling as a vehicle to become more famous than he already is.
Yeah.
He is there. And he is going to be he is awesome.
Yep.
Every bit of it. And I think finally he's getting his flowers and people are starting to recognize that.
Right.
And I think it's great cuz if you notice his in-ring workability, he doesn't do a lot either because I feel like now he doesn't have to do a lot. Right. Just a little RKO here, a little DDT there, and that's all we want from Randy.
Yeah, and then where he gets down on the ground and he punches the ball.
Yeah. That's all we want.
Yep. Yeah.
I love Randy. I'm eager to see. Well, who is he gonna be? Oh, he's feuding with the Bloodline, right? Yeah, with Roman.
Yep.
You think he'll get the match at Royal Rumble with Roman?
I don't know. Maybe he should, but again, he's just back. I don't know. It's one of those things where he's just back, and then it might be like maybe there's some kind of tag match because LA Knight's been coming to his aid. Yeah. Did they already do that tag match? They did that tag match already.
Yeah.
And
I think that Raw and both SmackDown are pre-recorded, or it's going to be like the best of show or something like that because of the holidays. All right. So we'll see what happens with that. But day one, man, I'm eager for that show. I'm eager to see what the storylines transcend. And I'm excited, man. Again, leading up to Royal Rumble is one of my favorite pay-per-views. And do you ever play any kind of Royal Rumble games, Jimmy?
Like video games?
No, like like during the match happening. We always play this game to where we'll get, I'll invite a bunch of people over, and then I'll have like a gift card that you can win. And so you pick who you want as the Royal Rumble winner. So you get like 5 points if your guy wins. But then you draw random numbers out of a hat, 1 through 30, and you even them out through how many people are there. And so depending on how many eliminations that number gets, you get a point, and then whoever has the most points gets the prize.
That's cool. No, I have never played that game. That sounds.
And I'm sure people play it every different ways, but it's fun to do. And now that there's a women's match also, a women's Royal Rumble, you can play it again with that.
So. Yeah.
And then we always do like a wild card, which is like if you draw the number and you get like a person that is like either never been in the WWE and is making their debut or is like a legend that is coming back just for the Rumble, you get like an extra point, like things like that. So
check you out coming up with the fun.
Yeah, man, it's fun. The Royal Rumble is one of my favorite ones, man. One of my favorite matches.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it for sure. Yeah. And I don't even play games, and I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, it's great. So that concludes, Jimmy, episode 1 of Pedigree, a pro wrestling podcast.
Pedigree. We need to get bottles of water and.
Hey, I'll leave that up to you next time, Jimmy.
I don't know. I might make a mess down here. I don't know if
I'll leave that next to you. So, anything else for the people, Jimmy?
No, I'm just Ray. I had a blast, fun. I'm looking forward to the next episode and episodes in the future, and to see what's happening in these storylines.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of Pedigree, a pro wrestling podcast. Make sure you hit the like button because that's really going to help us out. Hit the subscribe, hit the follow as well, and put down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts of, again, what ring attire you want to see Jimmy in for his wrestling debut. And just let us know what wrestling storylines would you like to see, both in AEW and WWE. So, my name is Ray.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we will catch you guys next time on the Pedigree Pro Wrestling Podcast.